Okay guys, so today we're going to be showing you how to put a EGR block in and how to delete the EGR system. So we're going to be removing this. We're going to be cleaning the whole intake system, so we'll be taking the whole intake off, including this, the intake manifold. And we'll clean out all the carbon, soot, oil and whatever else is in there. We'll also install a catch can so we can catch all the oil which is coming out of the breather pipe from the rocker cover going into your air intake, which is actually letting oil go through your turbo, which you don't want that. So let's start and pull everything apart. Okay, so what we need to start with is to remove all the sensors, the sensor connectors, so all the cabling. That way we can pull the whole intake system off without breaking anything. So all these are just push, so you just push these in, lift them out. Some of them are a little bit harder than others, so you need to give them a little bit of force. Just make sure that you remember where everything goes. So with these ones here, you have a little black clip which you pull down and then it slides off. So it's very easy to take those off. We have a few more back here. So whatever sensors you can see which are connected to the intake system need to be unplugged. So number one rule with undoing these is don't pull by the cable. Pull by the plug itself, because if you pull by the cable you can rip it out and damage everything. So make sure you're always pushing the button in as firm as you can and then pull out. Pull off the intake hose which comes from the intercooler. So that's just a size 10 socket on that one. Or you can use a Phillips head screwdriver. Pull that off, and as you can see straight away, there's oil. There's oil coming in. So luckily we're installing the catch can, so we can stop any oil going into the intercooler and blocking it too much. But also, if there is quite a bit of oil, you need to see why. It could be because the seals are gone inside the turbo. If that's the case, then you have to get your turbo rebuilt or just get another one. So we'll keep moving on with that. Pull that off so we don't lose it. Put it underneath. So now what we'll do is we'll take off the EGR at the back. Okay, so now let's remove the EGR pipe. So you need a size 12 spanner or a socket, but I prefer to use ratchet spanners. It's a hell of a lot easier. It's less fidgety when they're going the right way. Now I'll leave them up top. This one's a little bit more difficult to get to. Okay, now down in the depths, we can see the exhaust manifold. So we need to undo these two nuts so we can remove the EGR's pipe. So use one of these sockets with less points on it. So I can feel it's starting to round off, so get yourself one of those. Throw it in. That should be a lot better. There we go. So now what we're going to do is undo these two bolts, and then there's two nuts on the bottom we need to undo, so 4 in total. Make sure that we disconnect all the vacuum lines which are running into the top. Okay, so right down there's actually a bracket hanging on to the intake. So we're going to have to undo that before we can pull it off. Also, we have to pull off this cable. So this is actually for the intake heater. So in cold climate countries like Europe or America or whatever in winter, it's used to heat up the intake. That way it's easier to start the car. So we're going to have to undo that. Another mod is you can blank this off. So you can actually get a delete kit where it just removes all the core of this. So you've got more free flowing air through the intake system. The pipe, let's see if we just pull that one off. Okay, so that's another size 12 down there. Now that that's undone, we can actually take off the intake. Got to undo that one more. There we go. Twisting method works when you can actually get a grip on it. Alright, that should be it. That should come off. Oh, no, we got one more pipe on the bottom. Okay, so that's your EGR pipe. Okay. So this here is the reason why people do EGR blocks. This isn't actually that bad. I've seen a lot worse than that where it's just caked on, at least a centimeter thick. So very lucky that this is a pretty clean job. Now this is the part where you have to decide if you want to keep going or if you want to stop, and this is as far as this cleaning goes. So to get your intake manifold off, we're going to have to pull off the injector lines. So we have to take off the cover from the injector pump, pull off your power steering reservoir, and then pull off your injector lines. So a good time to do this whole system is at, well, Toyota recommends every 150,000 kilometers to do your timing belt, of course, and on a 1HD FTE to also do the fuel lines. So if you haven't done your fuel lines yet, and you've done say 300,000 or more, maybe wait till your next timing belt, do your timing belt, do your injector lines, and do your intake clean, and an EGR block, and also a catch can. Now you can install the catch can earlier, it's just that maybe wait until you have to do the injector lines to do the complete intake clean. There is another way of doing it, a clean that is liquid moly make a cleaner. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm not going to make any promises that this thing actually works. So it's liquid moly engine intake decarb. So what you do is you take off your intake hose, so at the airbox or after the turbo. You stick this thing in the intake, you stick the other end into your spray nozzle, you start the car, have the car running, you have somebody in the car watching the RPM, and then the other person in the engine bay is spraying this. And there's a whole set of instructions in the back, so you don't, because when you spray this, it's like adding more diesel to your intake, so it's going to make the combustion quicker, so it's going to make the RPM go up. So you have to only do little squirts, and the person in the car just monitors the RPM to warn you if it's getting too high, so then you stop squirting, let it settle back down, squirt again, keep going, keep going. So when you're spraying it, this little nozzle here makes the liquid go more sort of vaporized, like into smaller droplets, and that just helps spray the whole intake system, and apparently it removes all the gunk. So it would have been interesting to try it out, but don't really have much time today, so I was thinking about doing it on another car one day. If enough people are interested in it, give it a spray and then we can have a look at the intake and see if it did any good. But either way, today we're going to try and actually use it and spray it inside, just on the side in the part cleaner, and see if it does anything for us. Okay, well, since you're still here, that means that you want to continue on with removing the intake manifold. This power steering reservoir. Okay, so now that you don't lose where all your bolts go, put them back in the holes where you took them out from. Now we're going to undo the injector cover. So we have two bolts, one there, one there. They look like a size 10 to me. Okay, so we're having a bit of an issue at the moment. So I was able to undo this nut here. As you can see, there's a little nut built into the plastic. Well, on this one, it's just spinning. So I can't get this top cover off the injector pump because we need to pull off these fuel lines. So I'm going to try a few different things to get it off. If not, then I'll see if I can get around not pulling this part off. So it's a bit of an issue we have. Okay, so I finally got this damn thing off. So it's just an injector cover for silencing, just to make it quieter and neater inside there. So it's just a whole bunch of foam. And also I guess it's a bit of a security guard for all your wiring and everything. Jump in there, have a look in there. So this has actually been rewired before, so I'm assuming the pump's been out for some reason. Not sure what the reason is. But what we need to do is we need to remove these lines. So all the way up here, there, all the way to the injectors. The reason is because we have to take this off so we can clean it. So we'll undo the injector lines down the bottom. We'll undo these first because they're actually hanging onto the intake, these three. And this one down here, since it's joining them all together. Undo the injector tops, so off the top of the injector. Also undo this coolant hose bolt just there. And then we can actually take off this intake and finally finish this damn thing. So what I recommend to use for anything aluminium is this tool here. So it's the same one what you use for your brake lines, but this one's a 17, which we need for those injector lines. And once you've got them cracked, then you can go back to your normal 17 open-ended spanner. So we'll jump in there now and try and get all these undone. Again, you can use the technique with the two spanners to undo. There you go. So that one's cracked. Next one. Also, before you undo any of these, make sure that the car has been sitting for a couple hours. That way the pressure can be released inside the injector lines and you won't get sprayed by high pressure diesel, because it's very, very dangerous. And also, another reason I recommend doing this whole extended with the bar is that way your hands can be as far away as possible. So remember to wear your safety glasses or even a face mask That way it won't get you in the face if it does go off. But I had this car outside, I had to push it in. I've had the car sitting for 2 days because I've always very cautious of this stuff. But now that we've undone those two, we've got to undo the rest of these. Ooh, zoom out. So let's undo these ones so we can wiggle these around, also this one. Because we do not want to flex the lines too much, because they can get hairline fractures in them. That's why they recommend changing them every 150,000 kilometers. Is we're going to take off this upper cover. So this is just a metal cover to quieten down and make it look a little bit prettier. So what we need is a size 10 socket, which is a little ratchet. Undo 4 of these. Undo your oil filler cap. Yummy. Oh, let's put the oil filler cap back on so we don't get any crud inside the engine. Start undoing injector lines from the injector. Same thing as before. So at this stage you don't want to undo them completely, just crack them all. That way you can move the injector lines out of the way down the bottom. So we want to avoid getting anything inside the injectors. Okay, so let's undo all the lines. Now what we want to start with, it's not that one, not that one, this one. So, third one across, pull off first. So this one will have to go in last. So I'm going to put this on the floor in order, that way I know which order we have to go into. Then, first one. Number 4. Number 6. Oh no, sorry, number 5. And cylinder 6. And number 2. There's always something in the way, eh? Let's undo the bolts that are hanging onto this thing. Oh, actually first I've got to undo the heat line. And also the automatic transmission dipstick. Are you kidding me? That was loose. Oh, I'm glad I got that on video. Right, that should drop. Oh, I should just felt that. Well, it finally came out. What an effort. So most of them were actually loose. Those nuts. Looking inside there, you actually see there's a whole bunch of crud. Alright, so now that the intake's off, you can see inside here we've got crud as well. So there's a bit of a technique if you did want to clean the intake there as well, as you put your so just like when you're doing your timing belt, you put it to top dead center. When it's at top dead center, that means that your cylinder 1 is at the very top and both your valves are closed. If both valves are closed, then that means you can spray a liquid in there, like the liquid moly cleaner, and then blow it all out with the air gun and it will be nice and clean. But this is a lot of work, and you have to pull off your front timing cover and get it just to actually do it all. And also you run the risk of filling your cylinder up with liquid and hydraulic locking it and then bending your con rod. You don't want to ruin it. So it's not actually too bad down this end, and eventually over time all this will get sucked through the engine and clean itself out anyway. So we're going to skip the step of actually cleaning this intake, and we'll just get straight into cleaning intake manifold.